Hello. First of all, I would like to thank you, South Summit, to allow us to give us the opportunity to be here talking today with all of you, and also with some colleagues of successful startups. We are going to talk, as you were commenting, about mobility, about the new paradigm and the way the new mobility is changing the cities, and the way Mutua is trying to adapt with the help of startups to this change. For that, we're gonna have here Jose from which is CEO of Imbric. We have also Emilio, CEO of Chippy. And we have Enrique, CEO of El Parking. So please, can you present a little bit yourself and your business?
Hello, good morning. I'm Jose Canova, CEO of Imbric. What Imbric is today is basically the evolution of corporate taxi solution that was born back in 2011. We have been evolving the solution, and today it's a platform where you can plan, book, and pay different means of transport, like ride-hailing, car park, public transport. We manage around 30% of IBEX 35 accounts, and this year we will be finishing the year with about 0.6 million transactions, and well, that's Imbric.
Okay, so my name is Emilio. I was an airline pilot until 2017. From 2017, I quit my aviation career and started full-time in worldwide mobility. Chippy was the first product that we launched. It was back in 2016, an aggregator. We call it today a MaaS platform or mobility ecosystem or different names. And basically today we're a tech provider in mobility. We work with brands like Mutua or Toyota, Hyundai, Centauro, different brands. I think I'll talk a bit more later. So.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Enrique Dominguez. I'm the CEO and founder of El Parking. It's a platform for the private mobility, the mobility that you do with your own car. And we try to transactionate business related to the things you do when you are seated in your driving seat. And we were acquired by Mutua Madrileña some months ago. And I used to be a serial entrepreneur, and now I'm helping day by day Mutua to enter this business and this new way of doing things in mobility. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you very much to the three of you. My name is Alberto Izquierdo, and apart from leading mergers and acquisitions in Mutua, I also lead Mutua Ventures, which is the way Mutua is trying to adapt and to create an impact in the startup ecosystem, and also in our own organization, trying to partnering with some startups as these three, but also in others. And we have some plans to get help for new blood in this ecosystem. Well, let's go to the core talk. First of all, when in Mutua we think about investing in a startup, we usually look for a couple of things which are very important, that the three of you had it, like a number of clients that transactionally and recurrently use your services. Also, a technology platform that is autonomous and is normally created in your own company or by yourselves. But there are something that we look in your three companies that it's very important for us, and is a team, a mature team that is gonna help us to develop things and are gonna be our partners, and we are gonna be working with all of you. I would like to ask, how did you write your value proposition?
Mm-hmm. Well, in the case of Imbric, previously named Taxi, we identified the need thanks to the experience that we had in the travel industry. Whenever a business traveler arrives to an airport or a train station, only 10% of the times rent a car. So 90% of the times that a user has to pick up another kind of transport, maybe taxi, maybe somebody is picking you up in the airport, or maybe public transportation. So we identify that need, and from that need we have been evolving, and we have designed some platform for corporations adapted to their administrative requirements and the coverage. And so that was the way that we told the corporate clients, if you have an unmanaged expense, it's an opportunity of fraud, of very expensive process of the expenses, and it's a way that you don't deduce the VAT. So we identify one solution and one need for the corporate, but also we have to convince the user. And what were the needs of the users? Basically, they were advancing its own money to do some professional trip. They were doing the expense report. This takes time and it is very noisy. And finally, sometimes they lost their tickets. So we had to convince the corporate traveler by adding these benefits. And finally, we also had to convince the supplier, the taxi drivers. And for them, we offered something that they were not able to reach. Basically, if you have a taxi company in Valencia, you're not going to be talking with the headquarters of a large IBEX 35 company in Barcelona or in Madrid. So we aggregate this, our platform and our commercial vision to talk with large corporations and give these value-added rights to the taxi drivers. So they were willing to collaborate with us and to pay us a commission because we were adding high-value transactions. The B2B transaction is, in average, double than the B2C transaction. The corporate client doesn't do no-shows, so they remain still the taxis arriving. And basically, they are a recurrent client. So we find this great way to become like a travel agency of urban mobility, aggregating suppliers, the taxi drivers, and afterwards other suppliers, adding value to the final user, and of course to the corporate company that was the one that hired our services.
Okay, thank you.
So in our case, the story is that we were tired of opening loads of apps to go from whatever to whatever. So we had to open Cabify, My Taxi, blah, 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 blah. And back in 2016, we said, hey, why, it should exist one app. And from this one app, we should be able to compare and book. That's how we started, very naive. Being honest, we didn't know the market, but we started integrating providers. It was a wild ride, especially first year and a half. Fast forward 2 years later, we had already 150 mobility providers integrated, 15 cities. So we were growing, but users started to request transactions. So it's great that you can compare from one app. We know this, but they wanted to actually book inside the app. They didn't want to go to whatever was the provider. So we have this thing on the one hand, but on the other one, we had most of the providers when we would tell them like, hey, we would need this, blah, blah. In general, they would say, no, you are doing exactly what we want to do, so we are not going to give you access to the APIs. But then on the other hand, several providers started requesting technology. They said, hey, we would like to have your aggregator, but with our own brand, or we would like to have technology in order to be in the aggregator. So we said, hey, if we start providing technology, maybe it makes sense that one day, if we are the providers, then they will be in here with transactions and everything included. So basically, we opened, and 2018-19, we started providing technology. Not only, so we kind of, aggregator is still in there, or the mass platform chip, if you know, but we focus on providing technology. The first project we launched was Hispano Suiza. Maybe you know, Hispano Suiza is the Spanish brand that relaunched a €2 million vehicle. 2019, electric, no physical key. And we were the providers doing the hardware and the software for this vehicle. This was the first project we launched. And after, I want to be fast, otherwise like, we're going to run out of time. But after that, we started working with several companies, including Toyota, for example. We provide the technology to Quinto Share and Quinto Flex. Quinto Share is the corporate car sharing solution for Toyota. Quinto Flex is a flexible subscription, so we provide that. We work with Hyundai as well, providing rental software technology and subscription technology. We work with car rentals like Centauro. There is a car in there. We work with Avis as well. We work with the biggest importers in Europe. We have projects now in Portugal, Africa, Switzerland. And now the latest partners, I would say, are Rentings. So we've been basically in these 5 years changing a lot. Yeah.
Okay, the value proposition of parking nowadays is to give easy ways to do things in your car, to park, to pay the tolling systems, to pay the gasoline, to pay for electric charging, to pay for ITVs, the inspections of the vehicle. At the end, I think what we do well is to make difficult things easier to the user. And this has been our focus in the last 6 years. It has been my focus in all my career, in every business I have been involved. And nowadays, with Mutua, we're trying to propagate this behavior with the users that are now customers of Mutua. For parking, as a history, is the same way they have been saying, we started with the on-street parking, the parking that you do in the streets of Spain. Once we became leaders, we opened the off-street parking, the parking that you do in the underground, in the underground of the cities. Then we attacked the tolling systems. Then we attacked the gas stations, and then we attacked the rest of the services related with mobility. At the end, the important thing is not the business that you are working with. The main thing is to make everything easier and to remove from the journey of the user the bad things, the things that the bad moments that you find when you are at the beginning. For example, getting the ticket on street parking. You have to go to the parking meter. You have to have coins. And you have to be back to the car and put your ticket in the screen. And at the end, it's a very bad thing that you have to deal with when you are parking in the center of the cities. So in that case, we make everything possible using only your mobile, and we added some new features like extending tickets or unparking, that is ending your ticket if you are ending your meeting or whatever sooner than you think. We attacked the off-street parking also, and in that case we found that the user has to go to the cashier machine with a credit card or with coins. In some places you didn't have the coins available for paying. Other places you don't have the credit card available for paying. Other places they don't have cashier machines overall some years ago, and you have to look for the guy who's there getting the money for your ticket. At the end, it's an inconvenient way of doing things, and our focus always has been looking for convenient ways to do things. If you think from the user point of view, you will find that your user is getting more time with you. They are doing more transactions with you. And at the end, the retention, that is like an objective that we all have in our companies, is the consequence of giving a convenient service. And you don't have to look for the retention. You don't have to think in terms of retention. You have to give good services, to give them conveniently, and wait for the good numbers to come. This is my...
Yeah, thank you. For Mutua, buying, for example, parking, It's also one of the reasons, apart from the 2 million clients, your platform and all that, is having you personally involved in Mutua to help us be more convenient in day-by-day business for our clients, and that's why you are working with us now also. Now we are like here in La Nave, like 10 kilometers from Madrid. Most of you have came by taxi, others by motorbike, others by car, motor sharing, asset sharing, and so on. And so new mobility is like real. There is no other way, especially in big cities. But maybe Madrid is not like the same or in all Spain, and there are different ways of maturity of that. How is your vision about that?
Well, regulation is a very interesting point. Regulation on mobility depends on the town halls, on the local governments. So it might vary a lot from Barcelona to Madrid to Valencia to London to any other city, because that depends on the political sign of the government at that time. So there are some cities that are much more flexible for sharing, scooter, mopeds, cars, or even how it lives together, taxis with PHVs or VTC, as is our name in Spanish. But more important than that regulation is the big picture of Europe. What is Europe telling us about mobility? Basically, the objective of all the European mobility policies is that by 2030, so in almost tomorrow, to reduce by 50% all the emissions of the traditional powered cars in our cities, in the city environment. So this is a lot. And by 2015, they want to eliminate the traditional cars that we are driving today. So to get this objective, there are different policies that are being implemented, but right now. And one of them is the Spanish Sustainable Law for transport. And this law says that almost 200 cities with more than 50,000 inhabitants that are in Spain are obliged to implement a low emission zone. So this will make harder for a driver to drive and to park in that area. So I think that it's a good opportunity for the mobility industry or for startups like ours to deliver additional options for them. So this is one point, to implement low emission zone. The other measure that I want to point out is that, as maybe we all know, in London there is a congestion charge, and if you drive today to London, it will cost you around 28 euros for the congestion charge and for the ultra low emission charge. So both together makes around 28 euros per day. So that's very hard, and that measure has been implemented in Stockholm, Milan, and in other cities around the world. And 2-3 weeks ago, the government enacted a law that allows local Spanish government to implement the access toll. So we will be having tolls to access to the center of the towns, and well, that will be a right that the local government could implement or not. And finally, regarding this whole regulation, and focusing in our core target, that is the B2B segment, corporations with more than 500 employees will have to implement a sustainable policy to make employees come in daily basis to work. So the commuting, they have to take measures and establish policies and rules and means in which the employees, in every day that they come to the office, they can come in a more sustainable way. For that, we have shuttle buses, or we can have carpooling, and we can have different options. But at the end, I think it's a good period for us, for startups, for developing new ideas. The regulation are forcing corporations to take them. For me, it's a great news. I don't have to evangelize anymore. So the government tells them what to do. I'm here. I'm already ready to implement those measures. So I think it's a good future is coming ahead.
Good.
Yeah, I agree 100%. From our point of view, of course, Madrid is the referent in Spain, then maybe Barcelona. We analyzed the taxi industry. So we went back to, I think it was the 16th century with Philip II. Taxis started in Madrid. Because this is the typical question, like, hey, what is going to happen after, Madrid is growing, it's great, but small cities and medium cities, but the story is always the same. So if you go to the taxi market, back 16th century, it started in Madrid, and then it slowly started to grow, of course, outside of Madrid, depending on needs. If you analyze the public transport, it's quite similar. If you analyze the aviation industry, airports, quite similar. So, and with this industry, we think it's still super immature. Of course, a lot of people talking and a lot of smoke, I would say, in the air. But super immature, it's growing, it's clear. But we are in a transition, and the real disruption will come, of course, and we all know this, with the autonomous driving and autonomous drones. And this is the real disruption, of course, and this is the transition towards that. So users, we're all getting used to order everything from a phone. And of course, in maybe 5-10 years, I would say, we will order for sure the autonomous driving. This is, of course, the real disruption. This is where we are kind of focusing on. So that's our view on this.
Yeah, once the disruption has occurred, and when the business is opened, and it's one of the most difficult steps, is the first one. Once it has been done, the next step is to make everything collaborate. So the creation of an ecosystem is very important, and to create the platforms where you, for example, can aggregate services, where we can operate with the different players in the business, and where at the end the user can move easily between different companies using their services, again, in a convenient way, is the key. So now that the mobility is now more mature than 5 years ago, when it was being born, at least in a digital way, now that the digital businesses are mature enough, the next step is to create an ecosystem where they can move, and where the user can change between the different ecosystems, the different services, with at the end, in a convenient way, easily, where the payment systems are easy. You don't have to put your credit card again in every service, where your user is the same one or compatible between different services, and where all the players can give their value easily, without having to invent the wheel again, and to integrate with the systems again, and to get the users again, and to do everything again, once and once again, every business. So now that it's mature, as it had happened in other business lines, in mobility, now is the moment to create the ecosystems and to open the doors between all the players to give the user the best services together.
Yeah,
point of view.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. We in this digital era, that what is important is go to a ecosystem and be close to the client in every decision from time to time. We part some years ago from an insurance company that we just call our clients when they have, our clients call us when they have a car accident from time to time, or some problem at home, or don't talk about life insurance or some others. But so there are not good moments, and there are not a lot of traffic of conversation with our client, and no digital at all. So we were not the best position initially to create this ecosystem. That's why we started to decided to create Mutuaventures and to start investing in some companies that help us, some startups that help us with their capabilities, their teams, to work together. So what do you think about building this type of partnerships in a flexible way, minorities, majorities, from a corporate with startups?
Yeah, can I start? Yeah, I can start. So from our I would say maybe we are not the same. So Mutua invested in us, and what I can say is, first, of course, the corporate should be aligned with the startup. If the corporate is not aligned with the startup, a huge mess could happen. Of course, we are aligned, so that's great. Then, on the other hand, if you're aligned, and you can, of course, have the freedom to keep working with, of course, other companies or keep doing business on your way. It's great because the corporate will open a lot of doors. So basically what I would say is, if you have the freedom and you're aligned, it's great. This is the case, of course, otherwise I wouldn't be here. So it's very good because we have the best of both worlds, I would say. So we have the speed and we have the product of the startup, that's us. On the other hand, we have, from the corporate side, we have the support, we have resources, and we have customers, which is great to keep growing. So that's at least for us. So, but I would say, yeah, be careful, of course, because it's not always easy with corporates. So.
Yeah, we strongly think from Mutua that this partnership between startups and corporates is a key for at least for corporates to get in blue, try to do new things that is difficult from the inside on our own. Actually, we did some investment in the recent past in minorities like of GP or in majorities like in case of Imbric, but it's autonomous, it's not integrated in our team, or in case in El Parking, which we fully integrate in our company, the teams and the technologies and everything. So and now we are happy with this with this way of doing business, and we are preparing some new more investments and through Mutua Ventures in the ecosystems, and that's pretty much all. Thank you very much to all of you for your attention.
Thank you.